But Mr. Shito, you put a very big caveat, at the end of that, when you were saying if the process is free, if it's transparent, if it's, but some people will say that sometimes the stakes could be higher. The stakes could be human lives, in the sense that if you, as a person, could see that there were obvious flaws in an election, in terms of, maybe people were disenfranchised from what we can see. It doesn't look like everyone will get to vote, unless, of course, things will change. There will definitely, as they will say, the elections will not be perfect. Do you think that even on the grounds of imperfect elections, it will still behove a candidate to say, in the spirit of sportsmanship, I accept the results of this polls, but whatever grievance I feel, I will address in court? Do you think that that could douse tension to a great extent?
That will accord with the demands of civility, decorum, and decency. Because when you come out to appeal to your supporters, the results of elections have been very flawed, are flawed. But please do not take the laws into your hands. We will litigate the process in the court of law. Because that is the civilized approach. But you see, the other aspect that we should not overlook is the fact that people react instantaneously to incidents of injustice from the subconscious mind. So I think what we should do here is to, emphasize the imperative of free, fair, and credible electoral process. And that is where INEC has a big role to play.
Just before we go to the role of INEC,
yes,
we haven't seen the words of this peace accord, but do you think that, it weighs heavily, or does it place too heavy a responsibility on the candidates? Because it would seem that they are the ones who need to call their supporters to order, considering the fact that they might not necessarily have control over all the supporters.
What kind of leader are you if you do not have control, some measure of control over your supporters? All the key players, particularly the major actors here, President Jonathan, Major General Mohammed Buhari, the two of them enjoy court following within the rank and file of their supporters. Those who believe in Jonathan, for it. And those who subscribe to the theory of Buhari believe in Buhari. And that's what we must appreciate. Both of them are immensely popular in the political stage. So they wield a lot of influence. If they come out, if they see, incidents of violence about eruption, and they come out and say, stop, their supporters necessarily respect them. I think what has happened is a major positive development. It has never happened before. And this is because we see the drums of war all over. The statesmen who convey that, who champion that initiative, appreciate the fact that Nigeria is passing through difficult times now. We have crisis in the land. We have conflicts all over the place, kidnapping, armed robberies, and all that. We have a war situation in some parts of the country. Some will even tell you that we have advanced form of conflict, which is terrorism, and which is not always a local problem, but it's an international problem. So Nigeria has never had it so bad in terms of, a challenge to the authority of the state to maintain law and order. Now, if you now add political violence to that, you can then imagine what could happen. I think that's what those statesmen saw. And I think I must, salute the conduct of the major contenders. I mean, the conduct of President Jonathan is salutary. The conduct of Major General Buhari is salutary. For them to be able to cut short of their campaign, to make themselves available. I'm aware that some of them were in some other far, remote parts of the country, intensifying their campaigns. And you could even see that at some point, the two of them met in Abeokuta. And from reports, they were accommodated, very close to each other.
How would you assess?
you can see civility.
What about our institutions here? I mean, how would you assess them? Because something, if they have, or if they are seen, because people keep talking about the importance of them being seen as impartial, if they are stepped up to be counted, do you think we'll be talking about, or be worried a lot so much about this violence here
Thank
and
you.
there?
When you see incidents of political violence, what that tells you is that there's a massive challenge to the authority of the state to maintain law and order. And what are the agencies responsible for maintaining law and order? The army, the police, primarily, and other security agencies. If the security agencies appreciate their role in a democratic setting, and that role is for them to be impartial, for them to, to play their constitutionally assigned role without preference, without, taking sides with any of the contending parties. If they play their role effectively, impartially, these incidents of political violence can be tamed. And the way to appreciate that is to say, why do we have political violence in the polity? First of all, some see it, the political elite, the politicians see it as an offensive weapon. Two, there are those who also see it as a component part of their personal security. Others see it as a necessary part of the political campaign. And some engage in it to secure political advantage. These are some of the things. But the security agencies can play a vital role in preventing these incidents if they play their role impartially. And we have these incidents.
But they can be overwhelmed. We know, this, you talked about spontaneity and spontaneous, violence that we have seen in times past. How well can they, really be in charge, knowing full well that you really can't have them in all the polling units, let alone booths?
But again, you must also agree with me that this incident is on the rise because previous incidents of political violence was not sufficiently addressed and prosecuted.
Comes back to the judiciary then.
Prosecution, the judiciary will not be the one to prosecute. The judiciary is to adjudicate. Investigation is to be carried out by the security agencies. And then the prosecutorial agencies will have to prosecute. But in spite of promises and investigations in the past, nothing has been done. That is why we have these incidents on the rise. I think what is important is for all the key players in the democratic process to be alive to their responsibilities. The security agencies must know that primarily they owe their loyalty to Nigeria.
Let's get your view on this.
And they should be concerned about national interest.
Do you agree with those who suggest that politicians themselves could also end this? Because if they decentralize or make the center a lot less attractive, you won't have so much fight to get in there. Because after all, some of them ask, who really is going there to even serve the people, if not himself first?
I agree with you. You see, the problems of Nigeria are multifarious. Some can be attributed to the crisis of structure, which you mentioned. If we practice true federalism, it will make the center less attractive. And these incidents of, political violence will reduce. There's also the crisis of values. And this borders on political education, getting people to appreciate that politics is about service. And the leaders to also see themselves not as rulers. They should see themselves as statesmen, as nation builders. And that politics, afford them a vehicle to offer service. And it should not be a do or die matter.
Well,
if you offer yourself...
we're out of time, and I must ask you this because you're also a lawyer, as a quick one here, and it's from Kewe. How would you respond when contestants accept defeat or election results, but the political parties reject same?
Well, I think I was a little bit impressed when, following the outcome of the Ekiti elections, former Governor Fayemi came out to endorse the election. That you must appreciate. Went a long way in reducing tension. But subsequently, when the political party said no, they rejected the outcome and went to court. Again, that should not be seen as defeating the essence of what Dr. Fayemi did. Because if you go to court, you are pursuing your remedy through lawful means. At least at that point in time, when Dr. Fayemi considered defeat, it reduced what? Tension. That could have led to massive loss of lives and property, particularly by, supporters, his supporters. So I think it is salutary if, politicians learn to accept defeat and pursue whatever remedies they have through, the judiciary.
All right, Mr. Wahab Shitu, thank you for coming on this morning.
It's a pleasure.
Mr. Shitu is the coordinator, Center for Human Rights, Faculty of Law, University of Lagos. He's also a legal practitioner and a lecturer in law.